In this problem, we're asked to find and simplify the difference quotient for a given function. The function we are dealing with is g of x equals the square root of x. First of all, remember that the difference quotient is as follows. For this function g of x, remember it will be g of x plus h minus g of x over h. One thing you can do if you would like to compute it ahead of time is to plug in this x plus h into this g of x function and see what you get. So note that g of x plus h is just the square root of x plus h. Okay, so I'm just going to plug in into the corresponding places into this formula, x square root of x plus h and the square root of x. So rather than having g of x plus h, I now have the square root of x plus h. Instead of having g of x, I have square root of x all over h. Now my goal is to eliminate h from the denominator, hopefully, and simplify this expression. Okay, one trick that I can use is I can multiply this expression, square root of x plus h minus the square root of x all over h, by the conjugate of the numerator. The conjugate, remember, is just achieved by changing the sign of the middle term. So that is as follows: the square root of x plus h plus the square root of x all over the square root of x plus h plus the square root of x. Notice that all I've really done is multiplied this original expression by 1, because anything over itself is just 1. The nice thing about the conjugate trick is that essentially the middle terms cancel out when you multiply out, and you end up with the following. The square root of x plus h times the square root of x plus h, or the square root of x plus h squared, just gives you x plus h. Minus, because we have a minus, and the square root of x times the square root of x is just x. All over, now we have h times the square root of x plus h plus the square root of x. We can simplify this expression in the numerator to obtain x plus h minus x. Of course, note that the x and the minus x cancel out, so now I just have h over h times the square root of x plus h plus the square root of x. Okay, let's just work up here. Almost running out of room. Notice that the h's can cancel, and I'm finally left with 1 over the square root of x plus h plus the square root of x. So in fact, this would be the simplified difference quotient. Notice that there's no more h by itself in the denominator. I do have an h here, but it's not by itself. And I have found and simplified the difference quotient.